Yo, I ain't here for the money, I ain't here for the fame. Though it might be nice to own a jet plane, I'ma do it all for you.
Hey, what is up, trainers? PoGo Joel here, coming at you with another Sinister Cup video. In this video, we'll be focusing in on the fighting type Pokemon of the Sinister Cup. Let me know down there in the comments, which fighters are you bringing into this cup? Are you bringing any at all? Will you have double fighters? Let me know what you're thinking down there in the comments. And without further ado, let's get right into the video. Up next, we have the fighting type Pokemon that are going to be week 2. Fairy, Flying, and Psychic. Resisting Bug, Dark, and Rock. These are the pure fighting types. So the biggest change in this group was the Power Up Punch nerf. When the move pool was updated, it got nerfed, opening the door to other moves to come out and shine for the fighters and for weaker fighters to kind of go away. Up first, we have Poliwrath, a water and fighting type Pokemon with an attack of 182, defense of 184, and a stamina of 207. It's going to be weak to Electric, Fairy, Flying, Grass, and Psychic. In this cup, it really has to worry for Psychic users, the Confusion users to be exact. And there are a few Electric running around, Alolan Raichu, and we do have some few Flyers that actually have the flying moves, and not too much in the Grass department at all. This is allowing Poliwrath to really shine in this cup. The Poliwrath movesets have really been shaken up. So for the fast move, if you have a Legacy Mudshot one, that might work really well for you. It charges up moves really fast, but it doesn't do as much damage. Or you can just go with Bubble. Bubble is going to help you a lot against the things that are weak to water, like the Alolan Marowak and the Steel Tanks. Now the charge move department is where things get very interesting. So we do have Power Up Punch, which used to be the #1 overall move for Poliwrath. It helped a lot. But since the nerf, it's really shaking things up. You can even go with Dynamic Punch. So many people are being successful with Dynamic Punch. That is totally worth playing around with and will catch people off on surprise. And then you can go Ice Punch, which is going to give you the extra coverage against those Flyers and the neutral damage you need in mirror matches. And you could even go with Hydro Pump, which is a surprising nuke attack that can devastate the opponent. So lots of different variants you can do with Poliwrath. Up next, we have Medicham, a fighting and psychic type Pokemon with an attack stat of 121, defense of 152, and a stamina of 155. You do want to have a high IV Medicham because it maxes out at 1431. So if you have a 100% IV one, you get it right at 1431. So you definitely want to evolve and power up a high IV one. But it's going to be weak to Fairy, Fighting, Ghost, Resisting, Fighting, and Rock. Now with the fast move, you can go Counter, which is going to hurt a lot of Pokemon and carries a lot of damage. Or you can go Cycle Cut, which generates energy very quickly and will help you get your charge moves off fast at the sacrifice of some damage. And then we go over to the charge moves. So interesting enough here, Power Up Punch was its best move, and then that got nerfed, which opened the door to these other moves. We have Psychic, which is now creeping up on that list because it got buffed as well. It's now a 2-bar charge move with a 10% chance of lowering your opponent's defense by 1 stage. And you can even go with Ice Punch. Ice Punch originally was the best secondary move you could have, which gives you a lot of coverage to a lot of things like the Flyers, and in some of the head-to-head matchups, it's a good neutral move. And then you can even go a surprise with Dynamic Punch. So a lot of interesting things you can do with Medicham. Up next, we have the Legacy Move Crew with Primate and Machamp running Cross Chop. They can't learn Cross Chop anymore, so don't waste any of your TMs trying to get it. But if you do have an old one sitting around with this move, you are in good luck because they are very hard to get. You have to trade for them, and good luck finding someone to trade them from. It can happen, but we have Legacy Cross Chop Primate with an attack of 207, a defense of 138, and a stamina of 168. Being a pure fighting type, it's going to be weak to Fairy, Flying, and Psychic. resisting Bug, Dark, and Rock. With the suggested moveset, you're definitely going to want to run Counter, and then for the fast move, you're going to be wanting to run Cross Chop if you have access to it, and Night Slash. Night Slash is going to give you that extra coverage against Ghosts and Psychic. And then if you don't have access to a Legacy one, I don't know if you would want to run a Primate, but I have seen people trying to run Night Slash and Close Combat. And then we have Legacy Cross Chop Machamp. If you do not have a Legacy Cross Chop Machamp, then you probably don't want to use it. The charge moves you're going to want to have are Cross Chop and Rock Slide. You could go Dynamic Punch and Rock Slide if you didn't have a Legacy one, but it's not really recommended. Cross Chop is way better than Dynamic Punch. And Machamp carries an attack stat of 234, a defense of 159, and a stamina of 207, making it pretty buff, but also could be a little fragile for you in the right matchups. So if you don't have the Legacies on these two, you might not want to run them. Up next we have some honorable mentions in the fighting department. We have Blaziken with an attack of 240, a defense of 141, and a stamina of 190. It picks up an extra water weakness because it is part fire, and it does resist Bug a little bit more now and other fires, but not too much to really talk about there. You're going to want to have Blaze Kick for sure. That's going to help you a lot. If you have access to Blast Burn from Community Day, congrats. That's also going to be very useful too. If you can get that on any Pokemon, it does some amazing neutral damage. And then up next we have Lucario. Oh, poor Lucario. Ever since Power Up Punch got nerfed, it really took a tumble down on the list. It used to be like the third best fighter, and now it's like way down there at maybe like 7. Maybe even further, but it does carry an attack of 236, defense of 144, and a stamina of 172. Because it is fighting and steel, it's going to be weak to fighting, fire, and ground. So it picks up an extra fighting weakness there. So it's going to be hurting you when you go up against other fighters. And then it does have access to Shadow Ball, which is helpful and used to be one of the main reasons why you would want to even consider Lucario. But now it might just be a little too glassy for this cup. And then we have Toxicroak with an attack of 211, defense of 133, and a stamina of 195. And because it's poison and fighting, it picks up a double weakness to Psychic, making it not so fun to go up against Confusion users. But it does have some interesting movesets with Mud Shot and Dynamic Punch. Definitely something you can use and viable for this cup. Alrighty trainers, and that is the fighting type Pokemon of the Sinister Cup. If you found any of this helpful, please drop a like, subscribe. I was going to include this as part of my Steel video, but then that got a little too long. So I'm going to go ahead and post this now. And then we have some Halloween events to cover and some guides. So until next time trainers, battle on.